This is Josh Bycer from GameWisdom.com. Hope you enjoy this critical thought, your daily discussion on game design. And be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and you can pitch future critical thought topics. Alright everybody, before we get going with today's critical thought, just want to let you know that for those of you who have hopefully or thankfully been suggesting the Game Wisdom YouTube channel to your friends, I'm updating the introduction video with the updates with the new content that was added in 2016. So that's why I'm wearing my fancier looking shirt for today. But for today's critical thought, this was a topic that I originally wasn't thinking about doing, but it definitely came up today and is an important one for indie developers. We're going to be talking about the importance of marketing and PR for your game and company. This is going to be loosely based on the post I made Monday, which was 3 tips for selling your game without Steam. And this is something that's going to become more and more important as we get later into 2017 and the Steam Direct changes will happen. And I know El Gordo is probably watching this and he knows what was happening today about why this video had to be made. So, when we talk about this, I am definitely not a PR guy at all. I'm learning this as I go, but I also have seen plenty of cases when things go wrong, or when developers tend to mess up when it comes to marketing and the PR around their game. And it's important to know that marketing and PR are going to be 2 separate topics for this critical thought. They both tend to bleed into each other or run into each other, but they are separate things. When I talk about marketing for this critical thought, I'm referring to your presence online. Being able to find you, your company, and your game as easily as possible. When we talk about PR, I'm talking about the work that you do to make sure that your game is being heard, that your game is being noticed, be it through press releases, forums, videos that you make, stuff like that. And like I said, they both blur together, and at the same time, they will both enhance each other. If you're doing a good job at marketing your game, it means people are going to be talking about, which means that you're getting good PR. If you're doing a good job of announcing your game and letting it get in the hands of people, it means that people know that your game exists, which builds up your presence, which is good marketing. But far too often, more than I like to see, I'm noticing indie developers, be first time or just like they've already have a few games under their belt, tend to mess up really bad with this. And we've talked about this several times on Perceptive Podcasts and on our Game Wisdom Live segments. So, what happened earlier today was El Gordo was telling me about another game to check out for the channel. And it looked very interesting. I thought, okay, let me go find it. So I typed in the game's name on Google, nothing came up. Typed in the developer's name on Google, nothing came up on the first page as well. And it took about 5 to 10 minutes simply to find him, and El Gordo actually gave me the link to the site, which again was like almost at the bottom of the second page down on Google. And that right there is very bad. If you are working on a game or you have your own or your own studio site or whatever, that should be page 1 on Google. And that means that you are not doing a good job in terms of SEO or search engine optimization. And talking about that, that's not a critical thought. That's like a 30-minute to an hour-long discussion about everything that goes into it. But the first point, and this is a big one, when it comes to selling your game and marketing yourself, as I said in the post, at minimum, and if you're an indie developer, write this down, you must have a company site, a game site, or game site, depending upon how many games you put out. You should have a press kit, which we'll talk more about that in a second. And most importantly, and this is something that I'm still surprised some developers tend to mess up on, you should have a game or company email. Something for people to get in touch with you that is at least somewhat professional. You don't need to have your own, custom email address from something like GoDaddy or anything like that. I have a custom one that I have through InMotion because of the hosting with Game Wisdom. But you can simply just have your company site, at gmail.com, and that's it. But the important thing is you need to have a presence online. If it's taking me 5 to 10 minutes to find some way to get in touch with you, you are failing when it comes to marketing your game. Because a lot of people aren't going to spend more than 2 minutes, maybe even less than that, to try and find you. It's these same rules that go with resume building. No one's going to spend 10 minutes looking at a resume. They want within like 1 page, maybe a little bit more than that at most. And again, they're only going to spend a few minutes looking at it. Now, when it comes to your game site, this is another thing that's very important in terms of marketing your game and the SEO around it. If your game site, let's say your company site is this, companysite.com. Your game site should be mycompanyname.com/myGameName. The reason is you want things to link together. This is how you build good SEO and good presence online. Right now, if I go to Google, and I usually do this once every so often just to double check this, I type Game Wisdom in, and the first thing that comes up right now is my site. The second thing that comes up is a post that I made, which was a few days ago, and ironically, Game Wisdom, which was the original, which took Game Wisdom without the hyphen that we have in there, that is now 4th on the list. Originally, they were number 1 when you type Game Wisdom in on Google, but through just working on good SEO and consistent content, my page ranking is now very good. And again, if you type in Game Wisdom, Game-Wisdom, Josh Bycer, you will find me on Google, and you will find me pretty much first, second on the first page. If I type in your game name or your game company site in on Google, and it is not the first or second thing that pops up, you have messed up. Now, a few seconds ago, I mentioned about having a game site. Now, this really depends on how much you're willing to go. If you're just starting out and you're not even sure if things are going to work out for you, then we're not expecting you to spend money on a custom-built website, hosting, and all that. You can even just make do with a simple blogspot or WordPress blog. As long as it's something official, something that gives you presence online, so that if I type in your game name, it will pop this up. And then from that site, you need to have the information that people are looking for. There should be a game description, there should be an email address, and like I mentioned earlier, a press kit. We'll get to the press kit in a second. Here's another major do not do. Do not hide your email address on your site. I have seen this far too often where I had to go through 2 or 3 pages deep into a website to find a general contact information. If you don't want to list your email address on the front page, simply have a contact us button that will pull up, a email browser. But do not make it difficult for people to get in touch with you, because you are literally throwing away free publicity. The game that I was looking at earlier today, I finally got in touch with a developer for a press copy, and I'm going to hopefully be making a spotlight on it in the coming days. But if I didn't find that, guess what? That spotlight wasn't going to be made, and that game is not going to be mentioned here on the channel otherwise. And as a new developer, that is shooting yourself in the foot. And again, if I'm having trouble, what about all the other YouTubers or people interested in your game? They're going to have trouble. Again, the point that should be, in lights that if I was on a mountaintop, I would be shouting right now is do not make it difficult for people to find you. If someone is willing to put in the work to get in touch with you, then you have to meet them halfway and make it easy for them to find you. Speaking of which, and this is another thing, this is one of those big pet peeves of mine. If someone emails you, try to get back, in a reasonable time. I can understand you being busy and it takes a few days. But if I send an email and it's like 2-3 weeks and you haven't responded, that is not good etiquette. And no one who around is too busy to send like a few words of an email just saying, I got your email, I'll get back to you in a little bit, or just saying, or just answering the question. But again, this is all very important in terms of marketing yourself and the PR that goes with it. Now, I've been putting off talking about a press kit, and the press kit itself is one of those things that does become a little bit trickier to deal with. And press kits will usually involve having videos on your game, screenshots, about us, and again, contacts for either email address, press keys, etc. If you're not sure how to build a press key, as I said in my post, Rami Ishmael, I hope I just pronounced that right, of Lambier, put together a free software called Do Press Kit, and there will be a link to that in the post. And that is a way for you to quickly make your own press page for your site. And again, that is minimal. If you want to market yourself as a game developer and as a game studio, you must have a press kit. Again, this is all about consolidating information and having that presence online. Because the more places you have that people can visit, the greater or the more your SEO presence will be. And again, if I type in your game name, I should be able to find you very easily. And another case of this happening was with The Witness. When I wanted to reach out to get a press copy, it took me about 15-20 minutes to find one. I had to first visit The Witness's site, and I couldn't find anything there. So I tried Jonathan Blow's website. There's no contact there. Finally, I had to go to the actual developer site of the game that made The Witness, which was separate from The Witness's site, to finally get a press email to email someone. And again, that is far too much work if you want people to find you. Now, of course, Jonathan Blow and developing The Witness, he has the clout to somewhat get around that. But if you're a first-time or a starting-out developer, again, you do not want to make it hard to find your game. Now, in terms of marketing and PR-wise, another thing that we've been seeing more cases for is having a video presence. I'm noticing a lot of developers these days having their own YouTube channels or Twitch streams where they'll interact with the fans, they may show off their game, they'll have developer locks, stuff along those lines. And that is a very useful way of going. Even if you have make no attempt to monetize those channels, this is still a good way of, again, building your presence online and marketing yourself. More importantly, this is a way for people to stay in touch with you and see what you're doing. As we talked about with what not to do on early access, you should never go dark when it comes to people knowing about the status of your channel or the status of your game. With weekly or monthly videos, they can easily see that you are making headway on your game. And again, as long as you keep to a regular schedule, people are more than willing to follow you and to cut you some slack if there are any problems. But with that said, let's wrap things up for today's critical thought. To summarize, and again, very big deals, if you are an indie developer and you're trying to make yourself known, you need to set a good foundation for marketing. Company site, game site, email, press kit, stuff along those lines. And I know what some of you may be saying right now or thinking. Why should I spend time marketing myself if I have to spend time building the game? And the point is that a good marketing and PR campaign should be relatively easy to set up. And the earlier you do this, the better it will be for you. The second you start officially working on your game, you should have some place set up for that. Especially if you start publicly announcing it or publicizing it. If you say we're working on this latest new game, you should have a site for people to visit. And again, game site and company site have to be connected because you never know how someone will find you. Someone may look up your company site and go, hey, these guys are working on this, this, and this. Let me take a look at that. Or it could come the other way around. I just heard about this really great game. Let me type it in on Google. Hey, wait, here's their company site. I can find out more about them. Let me do that. And you can see this as a good example that I do with Game Wisdom. Everywhere that is Game Wisdom related is linked to each other. So if right now you are watching this on YouTube, at the end of this video there'll be links to the Game Wisdom site, and there are links to the Twitter, and to Facebook, and to Twitch. If you find me on Facebook, guess what? There's links to Game Wisdom. If you find me on Twitch, there's links to the YouTube channel, Patreon to Game Wisdom, and the whole thing just goes around and around. But the point is, that's how I've built up a really good SEO and web presence. You find me on any one of my sites, and you'll find me everywhere that I'm listed. So no matter where someone is finding me, they'll be able to get all the information that I want them to about myself and Game Wisdom. Now, when it comes to like videos on YouTube and stuff like that, I am still learning a whole lot on that front, and maybe at some point I'll be able to make an important video on that. We'll see as we get more and more subscribers. And as a very special thank you, today we have officially gone over 1,300 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. So thank you especially. I really do mean thank you to everyone who is liking and subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate it. And like I said, if you have any suggestions for content, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And of course, check out our Patreon. As we hopefully grow in goals and such, we'll be adding more ways for people to vote for future content. So with that said, once again, thanks for watching today's Critical Thought. By the time you watch this, we will hopefully be doing our live Perceptive podcast tonight on Twitch. If you miss it live, it will be up on YouTube in a few days. But otherwise, have a great rest of the night, and I will chat with you tomorrow with more great content here and on GameWisdom.com, where we examine the art and science of games. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and of course share with your friends. It always helps out. For daily posts on all manner of game design and industry topics, check out game-wisdom.com. To support the site and everything that I do, be sure to check out the Patreon campaign. If we can hit goals, it will mean more content for everyone to enjoy, and I'll be able to support myself and my household. If you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at GW for updates throughout the day and random thoughts from me. And lastly, you can find me on Twitch right over there at GW for daily streams most nights around 10 Eastern. Thanks again for watching the video, and be sure to check out more great content coming to the Game Wisdom channel real soon.